I think this has created a huge turmoil in the bilateral relations. Although at the broader level, they have been discussing a lot of issues, including the RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or the other discussions, including the forthcoming visit of the Chinese President Xi Jinping for the second informal summit meeting somewhere in October, although the dates have not yet been finalized, nor the visit as such, but there is a speculation that the second informal summit meeting could be held. This suggests that the Chinese taking the issue to the United Nations Security Council and possibly in a few days to the General Assembly of the United Nations. This suggests that there is the escalation in the bilateral relations. This is reflected in the postponement of the visit by Mr. Wang Yi on September 7-8, where he went to Islamabad and then to Nepal. He intended to come to India to hold the 23rd Special Representative meeting with Mr. Ajit Doval for the discussion of the boundary dispute as well as broader security relations. However, that visit could not take place because the Indian side had expressed concerns on the Chinese position, not just on the Kashmir but also the activity in the United Nations and others. So, in the light of this, it has some impact on the bilateral relations, on the momentum of the bilateral relations. If indeed the second informal summit meeting happens between the two leaders on October 11th to 13th, which is a speculative date that has been mentioned in Mamallapuram, closer to Chennai. If indeed that happens, then it means that they have come to a certain equilibrium in the bilateral relations.
I think India and China really have to sit down and do some deep stock taking. It's not that they are unaware of the kind of issues that in a way are contributing to the mistrust and the dissonance. It's a fairly familiar laundry list. But I think in 2019 October, when Mr. Xi Jinping is going to be meeting with Prime Minister Modi, both of them, I think, come to the table with what I would call as a very complex domestic political context. For President Xi Jinping, October 2019 is the 70th anniversary of 1949 and the creation of the modern state of China as we know it, the PRC. So there is a lot of symbolism, I would say, that is associated with the 70th anniversary for Mr. Xi Jinping. And he is also being challenged by developments in Hong Kong. So if you look at the Chinese external engagement now, right on top you have the trade war with China. You have this very sensitive issue in relation to Hong Kong. And Mr. Xi Jinping is now seen as Emperor Xi because of the way in which he is positioned himself in the Chinese power matrix. And therefore, there cannot be any loss of face for him, which is very important in the Chinese context. So, as an analyst, I would venture to suggest that it would not be prudent for him to have a discordant relationship with India. So, therefore, I think there would be some kind of malleability. And on the Indian side, I think Prime Minister Modi has his own compulsions in relation to what he has embarked upon in his second term, particularly Jammu and Kashmir. So I think these are issues that would be prioritized by both sides.
I feel India-China relations in the short term are be little acrimonious, that's all, but it will not have any deeper impact with regard to the core relationship is concerned. And I have few reasons for that. One of them, of course, is next month we are going to have the informal summit between Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi, and China is unlikely to upset that position. The second is, right now China is also in a bit of corner with regard to its position on Hong Kong, the adverse trade talks with USA and some other internal dynamics. and therefore in short term China is going to make some noises and that's all. It is not going to go beyond a particular point.